everybody, and welcome. I am with Naya Sheikh, a representative of Team Iron Throne from India. She, along with teammates Bhumi Parwal and Shrey Bhatt and Parikshit Mehta, were the Team Iron Thorn. And not only did they submit a design in the 2026 Power of the Community, but their design made it through the group knockouts, through the semifinals, into the finals, and took home a Distinguished Design Award from our international panel of judges. Good evening, Naya, there in India. It's morning here in the United States, and welcome to this interview. And you're representing Team Iron Throne. So, how are you doing today?
That I'm pretty well, and I'm very glad that I've been invited for this meeting. And I'm very thankful for you all creating this as a platform for people like us to come together and give us a solution. I'm very happy about it, more than grateful.
Well, good. Well, we're going to explore how that all came together today. This is kind of an celebration and a way to get to know you and the members of Team Iron Thorn through you. You had a very compelling submission. Let me start asking you some questions. Like, first, how did this journey start for you all? How did you find out about the competition, and why did you decide to enter?
Okay, so sir, for us, Bhumi was the one who got us together. So Bhumi knew about this platform and us being from all different institutes. So I am from MIT Pune, Bhumi is from IIT ISM. So we are all from different states at the same time. We were not in one place. So to schedule this and come together was an absolute honor. And I'm very glad that Bhumi invited us on this platform with y'all. So that's how our journey started.
What is your connection to Boomy? Do you know her from your hometown or from some other academic exercise?
Okay, so sir, before this, there was this SPE competition that we had done together, and Shrey is the one who connected us with Bhumi. So they were interns at Kane, India together, and that's how he got to know Bhumi. And through Shrey, because Shrey is our mutual friend, that's how I got connected with Bhumi and Parikshit.
Good. Now, your team name, Iron Throne, is there a story behind that?
Okay, so sir, we are a huge fan of Game of Thrones. So that's one of the series that we enjoy watching, and that's how, because everybody was fighting for a position there, right? Everybody wanted to come first or second, whatever it was. And that's how we figured out, that yes, Iron Throne is the destination, and that's where we want to be. And I'm very glad that that's where we are today.
Okay, so you're spurred on by the not only the learning but also the competition aspect of it. Kind of helps you up your game.
Yes, sir. It was a bit of a journey. I mean, yes, we of course expected us to be above everybody, and that was not just the plan. But that when we started this as a competition, we did not really think technology wise. It started out with people and where we had to implement a project. So that was the plan.
That's that's very good insight. When I first conceived this competition, I was coming from it from the engineer aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but part of the influence was actually one time when I made a trip in 2018 to Bengaluru,
Yeah.
and I would hear the generators kick on all day long. And this was right after some other power outages here in Texas from some big storms. And so that kind of got me to thinking about, well, this is affecting people's lives and let's think about this. So you mentioned people, your design is based on what community and what was your insight and connection to that?
Okay, so sir, this is where it gets interesting for me. So while I was interning, I was very well connected with people around me, like the surrounding. So I was even invited by one of them at a baby shower. So I had an opportunity to go explore how they live their lives, how the education system is going on there, what is the electricity, how they are generating everything all together. So that's when I realized that I was privileged. Like looking at how people were around there, I it got me thinking that what can we do to provide these people? So that's where
And and what location is this?
this is Lalpur, sir. This is in Madhya Pradesh. It's a small village near Shadol. Yes, so it's a very rural. It's a rural condition. There's nothing much developed there. So having been there for like a 2 month span, I kind of understood their system, and that's where energy power the community came into consideration. So I'm very glad again that this was where I could express whatever I could do for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's still something like 800 million or a billion people around the world that don't have power.
Correct, sir.
And and if you're used to having power and you go to a location where it's either non-existent or very unreliable, it does kind of create some gratitude with what you have and then looking for solutions. And that's again one of the reasons for the competition is can there be a growing generation of professionals who can deploy projects that actually make sense for people and also make sense economically because no, they have to be sustainable in multiple dimensions, including
Correct.
paying out. So you saw this need while you were in Lapore on an internship, I believe.
Yes, sir. 2 months. It was quite a good journey, honestly, sir, because otherwise I wouldn't have known the importance of being privileged.
Yeah. The well, that's good. Was it you or some other team members who interviewed some of the residents of the village for to
So it was me because I had a talk about all that during my internship. So most of the part was done by me in terms of the people and the connection.
okay, and so you absorbed that and were able to recreate it in order to say these are the persona and these are their needs. When did you all start actually on your design as a team?
So this was like 2025. So during that time, I was interning, and Bhumi and everybody were interning as well. And that's where I told you that we were all connected by Shrey. And it kind of gave us an idea that this could be taken into consideration. So I did kind of have had this as my backup because we were already looking for options, what we could do. But ultimately, we came down to this because this is where we thought that it felt very implementable rather than just a theoretical journey to, express.
So you were an experienced team from other competitions. You had identified this as an opportunity, but even I assume it was between school years, like last July or August, you were actually there, but you knew the competition and you started collecting intel.
Yes, yes, sir. That's how it started. So we had this planned very straightforward back then only that we will be doing it together. And Parikshit was taken into consideration very later in terms of his finance knowledge. So yeah, that's how it went.
Cool. Now, Lepore sits on top of a coal bed methane belt.
Correct.
Describe kind of the fundamentals and what you saw as underutilized assets and how you built that into your design.
So, sir, while I was interning, I could see that not every well was producing very well at that time. So, all these wells could be taken into consideration together as a multilateral well, and then we could locate all that gas coming from only one well to three wells together. So that was the plan. So to collect all that together and then it could go straight forward to a gas gathering station. And through the gas gathering station, we could distribute it to the township that we built.
So these were formerly high productive wells. They're no longer high productive. The operators shut them in. But
Correct.
even at that, you noticed, hey, there's enough gas here to provide gas to engines to give the local community. You don't have to worry about having high pressure gas in large volumes, You just need enough to power 2,000 homes. Is that kind of the premise?
Yes, sir, that is the promise. But at the same time, we also took into consideration solar and biogas. So looking up, like talking about in terms of electricity, solar was taken for daytime, and there was also a buffer system created for the same. So CBM was kind of it could be secondary in terms of that, and also a buffer system. So solar was the main strategy here, CBM being the secondary backup. So if even if let's just say that we are out of gas, there's always solar in the morning. So we could store that in batteries and keep it as a backup in terms where CBM is not really producing up to the mark.
Yes, but on the flip side, then the CBM can run baseload at night when
Hmm.
the sun is not shining.
Correct.
And I think you had a third layer of energy in your system. Was it biogas?
Yes, so it's a biogas because there are a lot of agricultural lands there and they do have a lot of waste around. So that's when Bhumi came with an idea that we can, instead of just relying on CBM for everything and solar for everything, we can take into consideration biogas. So that's how biogas was considered. And through biogas generators would be installed everywhere, as in to every township, the layout that we decided together, and then that will be given to the people. So it won't be just one biogas, one separator. It will be to one individual township, as in one
Cool.
individual unit.
Now I'm going to get back to the wells because one of the reasons I think the wells were not productive is because they were watering out. So here's another example of a problem that you turned into a solution. So talk about that.
So produced water was taken into consideration. So because while we were like we do not just get gas out of coal bed methane, right? So it is separated out of water. So as we were separating gas from water, the water was much higher in rate, of course, because at the same time, while we were looking out to drilling or anything as that sort, we were also putting in mud into consideration with the mud and water, I'm sorry, mud plus water into consideration while we drill, right? So that's when I thought that this is the same water that is coming out with gas. So why not just use this water and provide, like, by filtering it, of course, then we can provide this and reuse this water in many ways possible. That could be for irrigation or domestic use, and even for drinking if the reverse osmosis process is done properly.
Yeah, so here you had an underappreciated assets,
Yes,
coal
yes.
bed methane wells that weren't producing a lot because they had too much water,
Mm-hmm.
and you took the water into made it into a resource through your design, and then also took the lower volume of methane and diverted that to your town so that way that you can power generators during nights and as backup.
Correct.
So that's pretty clever. We're seeing some of the designs that won this year really looked at what the lay of the land was literally, and how to take advantage of it. Team Madagascar used a river going into the ocean. We had another team from India that used there's a coal seam burning underground. They use it for geothermal. In your
Yeah.
particular case, you looked at the resources of these underappreciated assets and turned it into an asset for the community. So I really enjoy looking across the designs and seeing these themes and one of the things that we require in this competition is you actually locate your community on a real piece of earth. It's not a hypothetical. It's not like Games of Thrones where it's out there in a metaverse. It's you have to find a place and then look to its advantages and disadvantages and play to the advantages. So great job. I
Thank
I
you, sir.
enjoy that aspect of your design.
Thank you so much,
Um,
sir.
so there is some interface though with external parties. So those wells are still owned by someone. Is it Reliance?
Yes, yes,
And
sir.
and there's also, of course, local regulators in the village itself. So how do you see agreements coming into place to maybe make this happen? And actually, have you talked to any of them or shared your design with any of those entities?
So I was planning on doing so. So since the CSIR team for Reliance is working very hard on these things like that, so I think they will appreciate this as an idea and might take into consideration. So I'm pretty sure that Reliance would agree on doing such things.
Well, cool. And maybe you can take some of the publicity associated with your win and say, hey, since we highlighted your assets, you may want to know this. We can kind of let it sink in as maybe something they want to participate in. Um,
Like I was planning on, giving this as a patent idea. So like just first I could patent this as an idea. Then I have to ask a lot of permissions with a lot of people, as in I have to discuss this with Bhumi, Shri, and Pariksha. This is just my thought process in terms of how I can move forward with the idea. But then I'm not sure whether this will go in the right direction. If is there anything you can guide on this?
a few things on patents, and one is up and one is down. Uh, patent. So if you you already put the information out in the public domain,
Mm-hmm.
so if you're going to go patent it, you better get to the patent office quick. But then you have to ask the question, what is the patent actually buying you in terms of commercial leverage? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
is it is it something that if you patent it, are you going to stop Reliance from doing this? Or it's just coal bed methane. So what is the actual claim? You can maybe claim the system, but then
Mm-hmm.
people might be able to engineer around it by adding another component or doing something different. So much more important may be bring in the business plan and because at the end of the day you want this as a business and I think did you propose village ownership? So
Correct.
so what's the commercial structure and what's the benefit to the participants?
Mm-hmm.
So 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 I actually have filed patents when I was working for a major corporation. I filed patents in retirement.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, it was maybe practical from a commercial point of view. Maybe it was a little bit more of a vanity patent, or I was doing it for marketing purposes.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing to ask is, uh, what is the commercial outcome you want, and how does this patent application help?
Mm-hmm.
So one thing is if you put your idea in the public domain, no one can stop you from doing it by putting a patent on top of it
Correct.
because you've already disclosed it.
Correct.
So I think the real thing here is speed and providing the vision, and you have the game plan. So the village probably won't organize this, but the local political leaders might be behind it, but you really need to get yeses from
A lot
the
of
local
people.
political leaders and Reliance,
Mm-hmm.
and figuring out how to get that to move forward. And then you had a pretty good plan for government programs that are available for subsidies, and then going
Correct.
to work that execution plan where you can actually secure those.
Mm-hmm.
So does that helpful?
Yeah, I think I have quite a lot from you to understand on this. I've taken some notes. I'll think about it and I'll get back to you about it.
Okay, one thing that some of the judges in this competition say to me all the time is some of these ideas are really good and they may be ready to go the next step. What can you do to catalyze it? And I go, oh, I'm retired. I don't really want to take on a startup company and help advise them. But but that would be really cool if one of these projects that the students propose got into execution. I know two teams from last year, the one with the hydrogen stove and Team Afterlife and Ken are doing business.
Wow.
So we will not we'll give you more than moral support. We'll give you a little advice along the way to help you get tap local resources.
That's amazing, sir. I think that's more than enough. Honestly, at this point of time, I think that's more than enough.
Okay, so let's get back to your design.
Yes.
Powering the community is important, but good living and healthy living is important. So there was a part of your design that actually helped prevent bad health outcomes. So talk to us about it.
So, sir, I'll tell you about the architectural planning here was done by my mother's. So my mom works for a real estate, and that's where she has a lot of architects around her. So because none of us come from an architectural background, we are all petroleum and chemical engineers here. So to come together with an architectural plan was kind of the most difficult situation during the project. So that's where I spoke to my mom in regards to how I can do this. So that's when her boss he helped us in regards to the architect there. So I had to explain him the idea, give him some insights, and that's how we sat together and implemented this as a project. And along with that, even Shrey came up with a few ideas that were considered. But due to the feasibility, as in terms of affordability, we had to plan according to what people can afford. So that's where I had to take help from the professionals around, and they really helped me out throughout the architectural layout.
Yeah, now currently people in that area use biomass for cooking.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So I don't think they really have access to LPG there. Not much. Even if it is, it's not really affordable for them at times. And biomass, as in they are okay with burning fuels and then cooking their way out. So that's not really good in terms of the environment around. So that's where we thought that biogas would be a better option.
Yeah, because then when you're talking about environment, you're talking about inside their living space, where if you have smoke and particular amount PM 2.5,
Mm-hmm.
that can have a bad health outcome over time. And I believe your design cut the PM 2.5 by 90%. And increase the overall air quality by about 80%. So that was I thought, a pretty good component to good living. Any other comments on that?
Not really, sir. So this was really looked out by Bhumi here. And
Okay.
yeah.
Well, good job, Boomy. People don't really appreciate that if you burn solids in an enclosed space, that long term it gets in the lungs of young people and adults and elderly and it accumulates over time and it contributes to bad health outcomes.
Mhm.
Um, Good. So you mentioned that Parachute worked the finance hard. So what are some of the things that you had to cut out that you couldn't afford that was on your wish list?
Okay, so sir, I think in terms of considering the financial factor, I can tell you that um, let's just say that generators, if we took into consideration just generators and not coal bed methane and just the gas coming out from centralized local grids. That was not affordable for us. So to cut that out, we had to get into the plan. Second was majorly in terms of the architectural plan. So we were going to go with aluminium sheets at first, as in go with the like a 14-story building and then go accordance to that. But then we thought that building this would take us time plus a lot of budget, and that's not what we have with us. So that was also taken into consideration. And third, the water treatment management here. So the like for us to afford advanced RO or to go give people around that. That was also cut down. So we only implemented it till irrigation and domestic use. That's all.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned a little bit about the architectural design.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you went with what I would call design one to many type approach,
Mm-hmm.
where you have a building which has 20 units in it,
Mm-hmm.
arranged, I think you use the term a flower, and then you
Yes.
repeat these. So talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so sir, while I was doing this with my mom's VP, uh, he kind of gave me a leaf plan as at first, as in to go with a semicircle. So because people can stay connected to each other. But then I thought that won't be feasible for us in terms of the land, because the land might not be straight and we need to figure out in terms of the clusters. So that's when we thought that okay, a flower design would be much easier for people to surround themselves together. So I think 16 clusters, 16 flowers were taken into consideration for a whole township. And then we in one central node was given to each cluster, like a central node for each cluster to uh, have the energy flow from the central units to the central node, and then to the buildings, and then the apartments. So that was done in terms of the architect and whatever solution he was trying to understand here.
Well, that's good. And by having repeatable designs, it actually lowers construction cost, maybe not your cost estimate, but in
Mm-hmm.
practice, if you have the same construction crews building the same buildings, they get more efficient at it. And so it lowers the risk of your costs going exploding beyond the budget. So I like that aspect of executability that at 2,000 units, you really are building at scale. And if, with the repeatable design, you get that learning curve and lower unit cost of constructions. That's pretty cool. So, so we talked about the design aspect. I want to now just kind of close out this next section with how'd your team work, because you kind of mentioned there's three universities, four of you, you're geographically dispersed, there was late night meetings. Uh, how did that coordination actually go on? And it sounded like it went on over a course of a year because you were talking about this while you were on your internship last summer.
Mm-hmm. So, sir, as I told you that because of Shrey, Bhumi and I got connected, and then Parikshit was taken into consideration. So, I'll tell you how it started. So, Bhumi, because Shrey and I simultaneously used to be together in terms of competition, and we are in the same college. So, Bhumi kind of got connected to me through Shrey, and then that's how we started working on terms of the competition. That yes, we are going to do this together. And in terms of the scheduling, it was a major problem because us being from all different states and scheduling all together at once, sometimes someone was available, sometimes some weren't. So that was a tough schedule for us, but somehow we managed the time, we scheduled it properly, and it came down to one area. So yes, sir. So one area was that the scheduling aspect, but other than that, I think everybody in the team was very coordinative. They were very supportive, and everybody helped everybody at a point where the help was needed. So this was done in a good way.
At any point, did all four of you meet face to face?
Yes, not really, not really. I've met Bhumi, I have met Parikshit, but individually, I did not. We did not meet all four together yet.
That's interesting. Cool. You wrote something personal in your notice that you want about your parents. Um, Share that.
Okay, so sir, for me, I think the financial planning along with Parikshit, because as I told you, the scheduling was not really, sometimes some people were present, sometimes they weren't. So in terms of that, my dad really helped me a lot with the financial aspect here in terms of the energy thon like the power the community competition. And other than that, my mom's VP, he helped me out, and they've really been supportive with me doing everything all together. I think I have worked on this competition all day long, and to schedule all three people together, all four people coming in together, it was just another task. So they could see me struggling all day long, and okay, this has to have a final output. And that's where my mom and dad also stepped in, and they offered me their hand. They helped me out with things I couldn't figure out. So I'm very thankful that they have been supportive of my journey throughout.
And I think you wrote when no one else in the room clapped, they were there and clapped for you.
Yes, yes, sir. I think they've been the most supportive throughout my entire engineering journey. So, sir, I am very glad that I got to do this, and I'm very glad to the people who've supported me throughout. So, I've also had an intern, like, along with my internships and other factors, I was given a scholarship for 4 years straight. So, like every year, those people who supported me with those scholarship, and they put their faith in me that I can potentially do something and be somewhere. So I'm very happy that everybody supported me throughout. I don't think otherwise this would have been possible. If that platform or that scholarship wouldn't have been given to me, I don't think I would have been here today.
Well, good. Well, now I'll give you the opportunity to pay it forward and help other people that are coming behind you. So people may watch this interview that are considering to enter the 2027 Power of the Community competition. So, so if you had one or two or three bits of advice to give people who are considering competing next year, what would they be?
So, sir, I would say that stay consistent. So, even if you feel like things are not coming together or things are not working out together, it will eventually come to one plan. And you have to keep your mindset open to everything. And some people might not understand what is going to be the conclusion ultimately, but you have to have faith within yourself. Second would be that. So, to have consistency and to have faith in yourself and to have coordination within your teammates. So, to manage people, you should know how to manage people, you should know how to manage projects, and you should know how you have to take opinions from others and combine your opinion together and not just consider yourself in the situation, but others as well. So, that's all I would like to say. If
Cool. I like that. Consistency, yeah, it's grind, show up, have faith that you're on a journey and you said you don't know how it's going to turn out, but if you put in the consistent effort and have the faith, you can persevere through it. Your comment on team dynamics is good. First get the right teammates, but even at
Mhm.
that, there's going to be friction. There's going to be differences of opinion, and that actually can be creative. Uh, and uh, and and you mentioned opinions. It also you mentioned earlier you also had those opinions uh, ground under by looking at the economics and the numbers. So
Mhm.
there could be lots of ideas, but at the end of the day, those opinions have to be supported by numbers. And it looks like I would say you also did the analytical work because I've seen it. So those are all pretty good keys to success. Um, anything? Oh, go ahead.
No, no, so thank you. I just said thank you.
Okay, so anything else you want to share with our audience? A final closing thought on your journey?
So I would like to say that, think about the people rather than building a technical solution. Think about what people need today and act on it.
Yes, and I heard that loud and clear from the judges in 2025 and again this year that it's really about powering good living for your community and its people. And the energy is a way to make it happen. But we can't let the technical aspect overwhelm the human aspect. And so bringing those dimensions in, just that, that was a perfect concluding thought. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you, sir.
So, audience, thank you for joining us. I hope you got some insights from hearing about Team Ironthorn and their solution for Lapore and their combined coal bed and solar and biogas solution. But as Nyla just said, it's really about focusing on bringing the solution to the community, not a technical solution. The technical solution has to be there underpinning it, but it is subservient to bringing good living to the people of the community you're designing for. So with that bit of summary of wisdom, Nyla, thank you very much for joining us. And audience, thank you for joining us, and goodbye.